G'day guys, how's it going? It's Bloodteeth here, bringing you another video of Caesar 4. And in today's video, I'm going to show you how I play Caesar 4 whenever I play these campaigns that are geared towards, not battles specifically. Actually, wait a minute. Am I not looking at the right? Here, hold on. So I need to be looking at games for the Republic. Do I have anything? Well, this is professional. No, I don't. Okay. Alright, let's just start another one. Yep, I am the schmuck. Ah, that's better. 2 options. Now we've got... In Caesar 4, you usually within the campaign section, you get a choice of either playing a town that is basically more geared towards basically defending from attacks and so forth, or you can have a economy based scenario where you basically you don't really have to worry much about attacks, if any at all, and instead it's more economically based. But when you play the economically based scenarios, you usually have much higher goals to reach. Let's see. At the moment it's not that hard. 15 culture, 10 security, 25 prosperity, 40 favor. I swear I already beat this. Whatever. Anyway, this is a good game, by the way. It's reasonable. It's getting old now, and you can really start to tell by, the lack of polygons, shall we say, in all of the detail for all of the stuff that's going on, all the buildings and all that stuff. It's not too bad. I mean, you can zoom out and things look not bad, even by, well, alright, not by 2020 states, you know what I mean, but it's not the worst in the world. Could be worse for its age. When did this game come out? Actually, when did this game come out? I've got the box right here. Yes, I installed from the original. Made by Sierra. Back in... do we have a year? Oh my goodness. Minimum requirements. Intel Pentium 4. 1.6 gigahertz or equivalent AMD Athlon processor. With Windows 2000 as a minimum. And 512 megs of RAM. That's actually a lot of RAM for back then. Well, it was quite taxing, all things considered. There was a lot of detail going on, but okay, it looks like this game was released back in 2006, maybe? You can correct me if you want, but anyway. This game... oh no, I should have paused. This game, there is a normal way to play the game, which is the way that most people play this game, which is to just go ahead and slowly build up a few things here and there, try and reach a goal, and that's pretty much it. That's all you need to do. Build as minimal buildings as possible, try to meet the goal as quickly as you can, and do the best that you can with very little. Start off with maybe a few small insulae, 3 or 4, get yourself a domus or 2 going so you can start worshipping the gods. You can put down some water related stuff like, get your fountains and baths going. Speaking of bathhouses, and you can get your clinic going as well, and maybe a little bit of light entertainment for the people, because, if you do all of that, then your people are generally happy, provided you can also give them enough goods, stuff like, your food-related goods, your, basic items for the people in the domuses and the patricians also in your villas. You can give them, luxury goods as well, like stuff from the vineyard. Let's see. In this map, that's all you can give them, actually. I've just noticed. But, yeah, that's the normal way to play. And while you're doing that, you've got to do a delicate balance of how much denarii you have left. You usually start with about 10,000 denarii. You need to think about your labor and how much there is versus what you got. Basically, have versus need in terms of unemployment or open jobs in both the equites and the plebs areas. You've got, fine details of your finances. You've got to make sure that you stay on top of that. on top of all of this, you also have to keep Rome happy because they keep asking for things in demands or requests, or desires, I should say. One, basically, if you meet the request, you get a bonus in your favor, which goes down slowly over time anyway. But if you miss a demand, your favor goes down. So yeah, you've got to you got to basically bribe these people and keep them happy. Speaking of bribes, you can also literally spend money from your own personal stash to bribe Rome. God, I love it. Let's see. This just reflects your ratings, which, by the way, it's very nice of them to go ahead and put the goals up there. So basically, this is where we're at with everything right now. We just have to make everything better. You can micromanage your resources. You can you can see how many of every resource that you can gather or make you have currently on the map. You've got a number of buildings that are able to produce these particular items as well, resources. And if you choose to do so, say, for example, if you're trying to save up resources to meet a demand from Rome, you can click this to stockpile a resource. You can also decide to all of a sudden mothball all the buildings that produce something. I don't know why you would do that, but okay, whatever. That option's there. You've got details about your overall amount of, your population. You can break it down between certain types. You've got this is empty because I've got nothing, but over time you got graphs that show you, your population growth in the 3 different areas. Basically, poor people, middle class people, and stupidly rich people. And this is also basically a list of all the important, a summary list of all the important things you might want to take into consideration. You've got health breakdown, you've got a religion breakdown. By the way, Jupiter's a pain in the butt in this game. Jupiter will smite down your buildings with lightning one by one very slowly unless Jupiter is getting some worship. So something to consider. As for the rest of the gods, if you're doing an economic based game, then you definitely need to worship a lot of Mercury and Ceres because they help you out with production and trade. Mars is the god you worship if you have an army based campaign instead. And Bacchus, I forget what Bacchus does, but it's not much. Let's see. At least nothing overly interesting or important or as focused to say these other gods. Education. You got a breakdown of basically how much education you've got going in your town. Same thing with entertainment. A nice breakdown of how many are working, how many are active, how much coverage you've got. And lastly, a thing for your army. And of course, there's the summary. Right now, I'm not doing very well because I've just started. So, there is also one other thing to consider, other than the goals, of course, to win a game, is your map. Your map shows you your town where you are. Right now, I'm in Sicily, so I'm landlocked out of everything else. And it shows that there are 1, 2, 3, 4 different places in this particular scenario where I can trade goods. Now, trading is awesome. Trading is exactly what you need to make your economy just go straight up. Forget trying to get sales tax and so forth. You can do it, but honestly, the majority, like the vast majority, 90% of your income is going to come from trading if it's available on a scenario. So, always, very first thing you do, go to your city, go to your map and inspect each and every single place that you can open up a trade route with and see what they're doing. These guys, they want me to send them clothing so I can produce clothing, and they send pottery. Okay, that's interesting. These people want... Now that's very interesting. They want wool, lots of wool and lots of grain every single year. I'm not sure I could make that. That's quite a demand. These people also want clothing, but interestingly they send, or they can sell back to us, I should say, perfume and cosmetics. These two are exotic items that only patricians buy. You only get these if you want your villas to upgrade so that you can increase your overall town prosperity. Villas, the more they upgrade, the more higher they contribute to the overall prosperity of your town, the closer you'll get towards your goal. And lastly, we've got these guys that only send furniture. Okay, so at the moment, I think if we go back to the map, let's have a look at this. I know this is a long-winded introduction, but I'm getting there, guys. Basically, what I can do in this map is I can make clothing and olive oil. Those two are basic items, and by memory on the map, I can open up a trade route that allows me to import pottery. So I can make two basic types of items, and I can import a third item type if that's what's required, but I don't think I would require that for the purposes of this particular scenario, so I think I might just end up ignoring that one. That's fine. Let's see, what else can I do? I can make wine, so that means I can only make one luxury item, but having said that, if I wanted to get a second luxury item to keep people happy, like patricians, for example, then I can go ahead and open up this trade route, where I can't sell anything to it, so it's not a money maker, but they will sell me furniture. So that's something to consider. But we're just going to ignore that right now, because that's sort of like a last-ditch effort to make prosperity much better than it is in the game. If I really need to, I've got the option of setting this up for that second luxury item to keep patricians happy and upgrading if it becomes a barrier. But I don't think it'll become a barrier. Anyway, who cares about that? Right now, all we care about is making money. So these three trade routes are actually really cheap. 500 denarii. So it looks like I'm going to be doing a big focus on sheep and wool production, as well as clothing production. That suits me just fine, and also grain production. So if I make a lot of grain and a lot of wool, then I'll be good both for keeping my town going well in terms of production, but also doing well with keeping them fed, while at the same time also, if I overproduce a lot, then I can also make a fair decent amount of coin in trading. Now, raw resources like wool and grain that are unprocessed, as is, they don't rake in a lot in terms of trading money, but clothing as a basic item is the next tier up. This will rake in a lot more money. At the moment it says 30, which means 30 of these a year is what I can sell at this trading post as a maximum. I can sell between these two trading routes 60. That's not bad. Even though 60 is less than 100, I think I would still pull a lot more coin out of selling clothing than I would out of wool. So clothing production will be my main focus, with a secondary focus on making wool and just lots of grain by itself. So, what do you say? We just, straight off the bat, because we start with so much denarii anyway, we go ahead and open all of these trade routes. No problems. I think they're all ports as well, aren't they? Yep, all ports. So, ports I need to put here near the water. Let's see. As for all of the stuff that I need to build, I need to use this giant fertile land patch, the one with all the yellow flowers. I use that, and also this little patch here as well, as the patches for holding all of my sheep farms and grain farms, and I might even do some olive oil as well, because I think having two different types of basic items allows the plebs to upgrade their insula from level 2 to level 3. I don't know, don't quote me on that, but I have a sneaking suspicion that's the case. Look at this. There's no clay pits, no sand pits, no iron, no gold, no marble. This is a very basic scenario, if I'm going to be honest. But anyway, time to plan. What am I going to do? Normally, like I said, most people when they play this game, they're encouraged to just, start small and get some production going and slowly work your way through that. I, on the other hand, I am of a completely different opinion. I say stuff that, go big or go home. So, I've paused the game at the start. I should have paused at the very start where it was in January, but that's okay. I only lost 2 denarii as a result. Instead of building up slowly and making 2 or 4 patches for sheep and grain and a couple of farms only, maybe 4 insular or maybe 6 even at most, so I can get a clothing factory or 2 and maybe a couple of domus. That's how normal people start. I, on the other hand, say screw it, because the penalties for doing badly in Rome's eyes take a while to kick in. I think it would be much better for me to just go ahead and slap down a lot of housing to get a lot of people in, and once a lot of people are in, pause the game again, slap down a lot of production, including ports and all of that, get all of my trade routes opened up, and then just run myself well into the red with the hopes that it won't take me long through trade and population explosion at the very beginning to get right back into the black and have a thriving economy, which will give me a boosting head start for the rest of whatever it is that I do within this scenario. To show you what I mean, let's zoom in a little bit so we don't stuff up this build. Let's see. I'll build my town kind of close to the water. A little bit close to the water, like maybe here. So, alright, we'll have 1, 2... Gee, I should probably have it like this. Yeah, that's much easier to see. Alright, and of course we're not going for beauty here, so let's build our town in a very standard, very efficient, very ugly grid. So, what have we got? Let's go ahead and slap down these roads. Beautiful. And let's go ahead and repeat that. Yes, I'm going to be building a lot of insulae. I'm going to be getting a lot of plebs in here. A lot more plebs than you would need to even just finish this scenario. But I just want to ram home the point that, and this is not specific to this scenario. This style of play, it works for all types of scenarios where the gameplay is slated towards building a thriving economy. You can adapt this strategy to just about everything. Let's see, I'm not going to put insula there, I'm going to put it here instead. This is a lot of insula, but that's okay. Don't worry, we'll be able to manage it. It's fine. Like, seriously, you would open up with less than a quarter of what I've slapped down right now. This is, some people might call this ridiculous overkill. And you know what? They would be right. But I think it's fine. Now, what we're going to do is that. We're going to chuck down a Jupiter shrine. I'm going to do that there. Okay. Mercury. Ceres. Slap down a fountain straight off the gate. Out of the gate, I should say. Put a prefect office here. A couple of engineering offices, because this is a lot of stuff being put down here. And while we're at it, let's chuck down a clinic. Let's chuck it down. Yeah, let's chuck it down there. That's fine. We can survive with that. Let's fill this up with road, because why not? And whoops. Let's go ahead and flatten that just to make it look slightly nice, to pretend that we're making it look nice. Let's see. Let's adjust our view back like this. Maybe a little flatter. And zoom out, so now I can go ahead and power that water with something. I think a pump house here would be nice. And a reservoir around about here. I think it projects its area of effect in a square, not a circle, so you can have it diagonally quite far away from the fountain or wherever else you need it, but it will still reach, which is good. Let's see, can I do that? Yep. And then let's connect it. Alright. At the moment, all I've got is something that resembles some sort of town of sorts without any production. Now that I've done that, I'm just going to fast forward time. Because at the moment, what I want is, at the very least, I want this fountain to be going, and I want these engineering offices to be full. The reason why, there we go, there's the fountain. How far does this water... Whoops. Wrong one. Overlays. How far does the water... Oh yeah, it reaches nicely. Look at that. Plenty. No worries there. Lovely. This is looking good. I'm going to wait for the population to grow to about... I think it's about 1,000, give or take. You're kidding me. I've got a clinic here and it's already not doing anything because we've got epidemics. Well, it is doing something. It's probably making sure the epidemic doesn't go too far. Huh. What a topic of discussion here in 2020, what with COVID-19 and everything. Gotta love that. Alright, let's take off the overlay. And ignore that alarm. And you know what? We have 780, 800. That's enough. Alright, let's pause the game. Notice how we've still got plenty of denarii. That's awesome. And we've also opened up 3 trade routes. I know it doesn't cost much to open that trade route, but honestly, I can just do that later at any time. Now, let's focus on putting everyone to work and making a boatload of money. Metric boatloads. Alright, what we're going to do is we're first going to slap down our ports so that we can remind ourselves of exactly what is important in this very capitalist way of life. And alright, let's go ahead and connect to the road. Beautiful. Now, by memory, it's practically going to be all about the clothing, isn't it? Yes, it is. Look at this. Clothing. We've got wool. We've got grain. No worries. We'll stock those half and half. Or try to. And we've got more clothing. Alright. So, what are we going to do? We're going to set up our town so that basically these things come into effect. Basically they get filled up and we make a lot of money from them. That's the simple plan. How do we enact that simple plan? I'll tell you. It's by ramping up production ridiculously, which we can do because we've got a whole population of people. Half of these houses are still empty. Look at this. The ones with the signs that say Venom, I'm guessing that's vacancy. These ones all here still don't have people in them. So, and some of these aren't even completely full. Oh yeah, most of them are. This one isn't. But anyway, don't worry about the people and their needs. We can give them no food and no basic goods for a little while, and they will not do anything other than just get angry about it. They can get angry all they want. I personally don't really care. I don't really mind, because it doesn't really affect me at this point in time. We can just leave them be like that. First things first, let's put some clothing factories down. Whoops, because we're putting down the cart before the horse. In this particular instance, I haven't even got any sheep pastures going right now, which is awesome. Let's see, I can slap down that and that. Alright. Again, we're just building a nice grid. To be honest, I'm probably going to actually delete this road and then rebuild it elsewhere. Here we go. Here's our Titan of Industry. Already we've got like 8 clothing factories. And you know what? Alright, let's put down a couple more, but we'll put the road in between them here like this. How does that sound? That's okay. It's a road. It's something. People can use it to push their carts on and all of that stuff. And of course, I'm going to connect everything up like this. Not sure what we're going to do with this little hangar yet. Probably just delete it. Yep. That's looking alright. So we've got some industry going right now. What we also want to do to make sure that wool gets here quickly and that we can store lots of wool as well as clothing, I'm going to build a whole bunch of these actually. And I'm going to make them mix in with some olives as well. I'm going to get some olive oil factories and stuff going. Not too much, but just enough. So we'll do this. Olive oil, wool, clothing, and olive oil. Did I say olive oil when I shifted this? Okay, anyway, I've got 2 that do everything. And I'm going to have 2 that are just dedicated to wool and clothing. Because we're going to need lots of that. We're going to have to encourage our little industry here to go good guns on that front. And because I've made so much stuff, it doesn't hurt to put more engineering and prefect and all that stuff nearby. Because you never know, we may just need it. Alright. Yeah, that looks alright. And maybe, just in case there's a fire up here somewhere, we'll put another well down here. So it's geographically nice. Let's see. Since we're putting the cart before the horse, let's put the cart really before the horse. Let's go ahead and build 2 food markets and a couple of basic goods. And why not? Let's also go ahead and chuck down a luxury market, just because why not? Seriously, doesn't hurt. It may not be able to do anything for a little while, but hey, that's okay. We can deal. Those will be manned by plebs, and that's perfectly fine. We've got engineering officers there. Ooh, I almost forgot. Since we're going to be also doing olive oil and wine as our only luxury item, we may as well get factories that do that. So, olive oil, 2 olive oils, and because we don't need much wine, let's just make 1 wine. And you know what? We're just going to let those go straight here to the goods markets. Now, we're not done with this madness yet. We also need to make sure that we get close to our all of these, or at least one of these in particular, this particular trade port. We want to put granaries as well, so that we can house a lot of the grain that we're harvesting as close to the trade route as possible, so that we've got an intermediary step. In other words, more labor trying to get stuff from the fields out here to the trade depot, so that we can keep this full, so we can keep on selling, so that we can keep on basically getting as much trade from that as we can. That's the idea. Notice how my denarii has gone right down. Yeah, it's going to continue to go down. Don't worry about that. We're not done. We're going to go right into the red. We're going to become very best friends with debt. And believe me when I say it's perfectly fine. Don't freak out. I know this is not the normal way to play, but I don't play the normal way. I play the cheesy way that kind of exploits goodwill and so forth that's embedded in this game, in the code. And as a result, everything is fine. We basically get a nice little head start. We find an edge and we stick to it. and we thrive in the game. That's the idea. That's how I like to play games. Find the exploits and exploit them. That is a lot of grain farms, I'm not going to lie. Whoops. No, that's unacceptable. We can't have it off by a pixel. All the OCD watchers are not going to like that. So we have 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. Is that going to be enough? Probably not. But it's going to have to be maybe? 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 Yeah, we'll start with that. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so in close proximity, I need 9 grain farms. Let's see. Okay, I see what's going on here. I could have slapped some farms down here, but I can't. Alright, yep, it's painful, but let's just do that. Let's make them all line up, why not? I think I can fit enough. I can fit all 6 this way, can't I? 4, 5, bugger. See, this is what happens when you play games on a computer that's so old that it lags on even the simplest of games. You get all these little misclicks. Alright, back to our regularly scheduled program. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, okay. That factory's in the way. Alright, fair game. 9. Let's do that. There's our 9 grain farms. Okay, that will at least feed our population and maybe get some stuff going into our trading post. Maybe. I'm not sure. We'll see how that goes. We'll have to monitor its progress. I haven't crunched the numbers and I can't be bothered. So long as everyone's not going hungry, that's all that matters. Not going to bother with the second type of food just yet unless it's a requirement to upgrade insular or domuses. We'll monitor that and we'll see how... Oh, fine. Let's just cut straight to the important part and do this. Let's just do it. Actually, I could probably fit a couple of groves in there instead, can't I? If I put one here... Oh, nah. Just not enough room. So okay then. Let's do this. 1. Just so we give our people a little bit of variety. Not going to put down many of these, just enough. 3, and I can't build there, so let's just build 4. 4 vegetable farms, that's reasonable. That's not going to break the bank for anyone, is it? No? Okay. Good stuff. Let's go ahead and put down a couple of farms here, and also let's put a little back road there. And let's make it hug that way so that I can chuck down... Yep, you guessed it, an engineering and a prefect, because we've built a lot of buildings. We've got quite a lot of industry now, so we may as well make sure we stop crime from happening. And also fires from burning down our buildings, and also stop the buildings from suffering due to neglect. Yes, that's a thing in this game. Now that we've done that, we're only just a little bit in the red. We're only scratching the surface, okay? 384 denarii in the red is nothing for a game like this with a scenario that allows lots of trading. I would be comfortable putting myself into debt by about 10,000, just because I know that trading can help me claw things back before everything gets too out of hand and Rome decides to come in and smack me out and take me out of power. Let's see, what have we got next? We've got olive groves. All right, let's make some. Let's make a little bit of olive oil, huh? How does that sound? 3, 4, 5. There's just not enough room, is there, to slap down a 6th in a nice spot? Okay, no worries, we'll just have to do that. Olive farms. 1, 2, 3, and that's it. There's no need to get poetic about it. It is what it is. And why is this not scrolling? Oh yeah, that's right, because I'm in windowed mode. Okay, so we've got our 3 olive thingies here, which means I could probably put down more factories. And I should. And I will. We'll put down a couple more factories. That should keep olives going nicely. Let's see, I've got those going. I've got lots of clothing factories, but right now I'm missing one key component of everything, and that is the main event. Sheep. Oh yeah, also I need some... Let's do the vineyards first. I forgot about that. We need 1, 2... You know what, let's just make 1. Seriously, we don't need much in terms of wine production. We're only taking care of 2, tiny little domuses. We can always expand on that later in this second little fertile patch, but for the moment, we're just going to focus on getting our sheep and our clothing and therefore our money. That's really what it's all about. It's about the money and keeping people happy. Wow, I just realized. I don't know why I didn't realize this, but this game is scarily close to real life. So long as you have lots of money and you keep the right people happy, you're fine. Oh, God. That'll get some people's goats going. Oh, well. Feel free to comment below. Alright. Do I have enough room? Yes! Okay, so what did I get? 2, 4, 6, 8, 11, 14. That's probably not enough, but that will have to do for now. And I'm going to put all of these farms like way out here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, people who have played this game before, people who would consider themselves like veterans of this particular game, they would probably laugh at all of this and say, haha, what's going on? You've run yourself into debt. You've got way too much industry going on. You've got way too big of a city going as well. This is just going to implode. You can't make that back in time. And now he's just wasting money on upgrading all of his roads into plazas as well. Like, this is not how to play Caesar 4. And you know what? To a point, you're definitely right. This is not how to play Caesar 4. This is my brand of playing Caesar 4. And my brand of playing Caesar 4 is to cheese it and quickly get things going perfectly. Oh, before I forget, we need, of course, the obligatory trio of engineering prefect and well here to make sure that the buildings don't implode themselves. While we're at it, let's just go ahead and connect this. Why not? Just making routes a little bit shorter. So, what have we done? We've opened up our trade routes. We've built up an entire industry while pausing the game. We've driven ourselves into about 4 grand of debt. But I'm confident that things will turn around soon. How are we looking for the Imperials? Okay, our salary is terrible, so we won't be able to bribe them much. Our favour is already pretty average, and we're in debt. Being in debt has 2 major problems. Number 1, the biggest deficit is that it drives down your favour with Rome. The second biggest deficit is that all of your people actually rely on you having money in your town to be paid. Right now they're not complaining about pay because I paused before I drove my whole town into debt. Now they'll start complaining about low pay, and after about a year or 2 they'll get sick of it, and you'll see that my town will have people leaving in droves because they want to be paid and they're not going to be paid because the town is broke. In a nutshell. So yeah, there's that. But like I said, all of these penalties take a little bit of time to actually build up and come into effect. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to exploit the fact that there is a delay between doing something stupid and essentially getting slapped down for it here in this game. So I've built up everything. I've made sure that it is very economically biased, and through that, I'm hoping I can pull myself out of the depths of debt before Rome sends its army to slap me down. In fact, there's even a little trick you can play here to try and get your favour back up to a level like this. I'll show you that in a minute, but first we have to let our favour drive down a little bit. Not too much, but just down to about maybe 20 or 15. Back when they start to threaten to send their army from Rome to come and smack you out. Okay, not gonna lie, that was a bit loud. Let's add an extra Domus to get some extra people in. Oh no. Oh, they want grain. Good luck. I forgot about this. It's not just Jupiter that can smite down all of your stuff. It's also just normal weather can smite down all of your buildings as well. But at least with weather, lightning on your buildings isn't so bad because it doesn't like instantly destroy the building. It puts it on fire and takes a while to go and spread and become so bad that the building collapses. Jupiter's Wrath, on the other hand, as soon as that lightning bolt comes down, it smites down your building is on fire. Less than half a second later, your building suddenly collapses. Very different. Look at this. I'm in debt. Things look terrible right now. Things look like this. This looks like a dream. Basically, someone's dream to try and get something going. An unplanned mess. But plebs are still flocking to my city. I'm telling you all, this is fine. We will be fine. It looks terrible, but we will be fine. Look, see, we've already made the first vestiges of what is money. Ah, and it's from grain sales? Really? Come on. Okay, all of these clothing factories are flying tops like kites, which means they're not doing anything. I think that's because we just need to wait for the sheep pastures to... Oh no! What have I done? I've put down a whole bunch of cattle farms instead of sheep farms. Okay, I wonder how many of you were actually yelling at the screen and saying, "Oh no, you put down cattle pastures, you idiot." Imagine if this was a live stream. Anyway, sheep farms. Okay. Let's just gloss over that little delay. Take two. Alright, sheep farms. Okay, we have a whole bunch of Marys here with their little lambs. Oh wow, you can actually click on the individual sheep. That's weird. Let's see, we've got our police here, making sure things are going alright. We're just going to go and fast forward and wait for the sheep to turn into wool. I think we're already working some, aren't we? No, we're not. See, look at this. Is this olive oil? Yeah, this is olive oil. We've got some basic goods here, one type of basic goods, and we've got lots of grain in here, I suppose. Well, lots. I say lots, it's not really lots. But we've got some stuff in here. Automatically upgrading all of these buildings from level 1 to level 2 doesn't take that much. That's why I'm not really giving these people much in terms of, you know, basic goods or food or all of that. They can get by on very little, and they can thrive a little bit to a point on very little. We'll evolve with basic goods. Okay. Ooh, hello. I can ship that now. Done. I'm sorry guys, I can't turn that down, that noise. It is what it is. Huh. This sheep pasture doesn't look very busy. Okay, it is busy. Whatever. I'm just waiting for that moment where this stuff finally... let's see. Rome considers you a failure. You'd better turn it around. Sales taxes. You know what? I think we're at the point where we probably will try and get money from wherever we can. So let's slap down a tax office there. We've got more than enough equites to go ahead and labour everything. In fact, do we have any unemployed? Oh, we can ship that too. Okay. Our favour is pretty low right now. I'm going to drive it down into the ground by doing something. I can't believe you can actually do this, but I'm going to pay myself the maximum. So every month, instead of making 2 denarii, I'm going to be making 200, which is going to, within only just about 3 or 4 months, give me more than enough money to go ahead and bribe Rome with a whole bunch of gifts that all raise my favour. And once my favour is risen to a point that I'm happy with, or basically to the maximum point that I can raise it by bribing alone, then I will change my salary back to 2, and it'll be like nothing ever happened. And it's like kind of like a bit of a reset on your favour. It's cheesy, but it's great. It works wonders. So, April, I'll go back in July or August. This is going to drive down my favour, but like I said, we'll be able to make the favour back, no problems. I don't know if this was intentional within the game design, or if I'm just exploiting things in ways that the game was never intended to be exploited with, but yeah, hey, it's totally doable. It's not cheating if it's if you're not using codes or modifying the game. I'm not modifying the game, I'm just playing it as is. Is this... Yep, we've got grapevine. I'm now double checking. I'm double guessing, second guessing all of the farms that I've slapped down. I want to make sure that they're actually what I need them to be. That's a pretty sad state of affairs. Now what's going on here? I've got 2 vegetable farms. Oh yeah, because I've only got 4 patches. Okay. Oh, that Odeon. All of these houses are upgrading slowly, which means I'm getting more population, which is great, which means I'll have more labour force. Oh, hey, look at that. I can actually afford even more. I've got unemployed plebs. Lovely. Do you know what that means? That means it's time to ramp up production even more. Yeah, that's right, we're running ourselves even further into debt. 6, 8, 10 clothing factories. Nothing. That's amateur. Let's go ahead and slap down a couple more. There's 12. Let's go ahead and put 13, 14, and while we're at it, let's also slap down another warehouse to make sure that we have more than enough cart pushers going around trying to gather all this stuff. While we're at it, let's just make sure this area is nice and beautiful enough for these people. We don't want them complaining about the horrible desirability of the area because they've got all this industry literally at their backyard. Let's make sure this only holds a little bit of wine, a little bit of wool, and a lot of clothing. We want to make sure we're selling clothing to the max. Alright, what have we got? God, we're still waiting on our first influx of wool from these farms. It's killing me. Should be coming any minute now. And then all of a sudden you'll see this denarii drop. Speaking of denarii, yep, that's more than enough. Let's go ahead and change this back. Now, let me show you the broken thing about bribing Rome and sending gifts. My favour is at 0, but you can send Rome up to 3 of each of these 3 different gifts. So 9 times in total. Before these gifts and giving these gifts does no extra effect to favour. So, let's go ahead and send the cheapest 3 times. 5, 8, 9. Next, the lion. 17, 23, 25. Lastly, the obelisk. 37, 45, and I don't have enough money for a third. But look at that. My favour's already up to 45. If I was able to afford that obelisk again, then I would have been able to get my favour all the way up to 50, which is actually more than you require to beat this particular scenario. So, yeah. Yes, it's kind of a one-shot deal. You can only rely on that once, because like I said, you cannot keep on sending gifts and expecting favour. Rome only likes it when you do it first off 3 times, and then that's it. So, we've kept Rome happy. We've stopped them from thinking about sending their army. You have managed to recover enough in Rome's eyes to remain in power for now. In other words, the army for Rome has disappeared. That's good news for us. Very good news for us, actually. So, Rome is happy for now. The favour is still declining, but that's because we still have a horrible denarii situation here. Let's see. Rome demands food. I need to fill that order because it's a demand, and I don't want missing that order to hurt my situation with Rome any more than it has to, so we'll stockpile it just for a little bit. Not long. Ah, look at that. No one's flying shirts in the wind like kites anymore. They're all working, which means dun, 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 they're all making clothing, and look at that. Clothing. All of these are filling up slowly with clothing. And they're filling up with olive oil as well. Why? Oh yeah, I kind of went nuts with the groves. 6 groves, 3 farms. And I've got how many olive oil factories? 2. That's a rookie number. Let's get another one going. Let's get another 2 going, actually. Why not? Alright, let's get them going over here. I seem to be running out of room in this scenario. This is a very small map, if I'm going to be honest. And don't worry about too many plebs being unemployed. At the end of the day, unemployment isn't really a problem so long as you keep Jupiter happy. Jupiter gets rid of all the criminals in the streets and all of that stuff for you, so that's fine. And speaking of fine, have you noticed that in the space of only a few months, I've gone from 4,500 denarii in debt down to just 1,000. This is what I'm talking about. I've opened up the trade routes. I've finally, after my stupid little embarrassing stuff up at the start, I finally have my clothing production going. I have more than enough stockpiled grain to keep Rome happy, to keep everyone happy. Everything's going smoothly. I've got production going, good guns, and I think all it takes is just a few more ships. It's a new year, so everything is reset. This is awesome. I've got 13 waiting right there to be taken away by traders. I've got 15 here waiting to be taken by traders. We've got a little bit of grain, not much. I'm not so worried about the raw resources. I'm worried about the clothing, and look at that. Bang. Right there. We are... Alright. So we lost a little, but that's okay. More ships are inbound soon. Let's see when those traders come in. There we go. More traders. Inbound, ready to take my clothing from me. Alright, that sounded weird. Here we go. More clothing waiting. We need some clothing here. We've got some clothing going in there slowly. Ceres is great. Benevolence means basically crops grow instantly. And look at that. Denarii, 2,000. I told you. This is how you play Caesar 4. It kind of makes the game a little bit of a broken record to play, if I'm going to be honest, because this is the same sort of strategy that you can use in every single scenario that you play. Oh, I wish that would shut up. It's the same strategy you can play for every scenario that is economically based. Basically, you start off your big city with lots and lots of plebs. You unpause the game, let them fill up, and also a couple of domuses as well, so you can get your religion and a little bit of health and stuff going. Once you've got this sort of half full with people, then you pause the game, you slap down all of your industry, you buy all of the trade routes that you need to buy. In fact, you know what, I've got more than enough money, I'm just going to buy that. Buy all of the trade routes that you need to basically claw back and get a thriving economy. So clawing back from your debts that you're about to drive yourself down. Create all of the industry that you need to do that, and then just sit and wait. That's really all you need to do. It's not that difficult, if I'm going to be honest. This sort of strategy can sort of be, I suppose, similarly adopted with the campaign scenarios where there's more of a focus on war and defense, but it's not really that bad, to be honest. The difference between this strategy and a strategy for a scenario like that is that you would also be thinking to go ahead and do that extra thing of gathering all of the resources and materials you need to make weapons and armor and all of that stuff, and then more food on top of all of your industry so that you can make your armies. That is something that you can consider. Plus also, you know, the obligatory walls and gatehouses and stuff. But even if you don't build an army, if you just go ahead and wall off everything in a scenario and put a gatehouse, you know, at every single entrance path, and then put lots and lots and lots of towers lining the area, to fill those towers you're just going to need money and people. So again, this strategy is still something you can adapt to a scenario that has a an army campaign focus on it. So yeah, instead of building slowly, seriously, just get lots of people in, pause, build a massive industry and get your trade ports going. You don't have to open up all of them, just do your little analysis on what you think will get you the most denarii for the quickest amount of time, with the least amount of effort. Do a tiny bit to feed your people as well. In this scenario, it was really, really weird that basically the trade routes required resources that were basically food and basic items, which are two things that you need to get all of your town going nicely. Oh, look at that. You're finally evolving. And right now I'm situated in a position where I can just go ahead and do whatever I want. I've got plenty of denarii. Rome is happy. Rome is very happy, actually. I've got a little bit of savings. I can go ahead and open up the rest of my trade routes. I can go ahead and make even more of a thriving industry. I can go ahead and satisfy the fact that I don't have enough food by using this money that I have to build up more farms and get more granaries going as well so that I can feed my people. I can get the culture going. I can put a few villas down. You know, basically I've got the money to do whatever I need to do to pass the scenario. That's the general idea, and this was the build that I wanted to show you guys. I hope you liked it. Let me know what you think, and leave a comment below. Also, let me know if you liked this video and you'd like to see more videos of Season 4, or if you'd like to see videos of other different games. Yeah, let me know. Hope you enjoyed it. Take care, guys.